Good day, Market Chameleons, and everyone joining for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the Ryan Mastro Market Chameleon After Market webinar. Before we get started, let's take a look at the share disclaimer. Be aware that neither Market Chameleon, Ryan, or myself are registered investment advisors or a broker-dealer. If you're searching for investment advice, please reach out to a licensed professional. This show, as all our shows and webinars, are for informational purposes only concerning Market Chameleon and OptionsRobot tools and products. With that, one last look at the disclaimer. We'll remove the disclaimer and let's welcome Ryan to the show. How are you doing, Ryan?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good to see you. So do you want me to bring up your screen, add it to the stage?
Sure. Yeah, let's get rocking and rolling. So, yeah, I'll just quickly touch on, let me get over to that screen. It'd be great. So I think market-wise, last week was a wild one, right? So I think just to identify kind of what went on, the Qs had several reversal patterns that came in. Big one on Tuesday. Wednesday was kind of blah. Thursday, really big one, right? So we gapped up, made new highs in the QQQs, and then just got absolutely routed and made a lower low versus the past couple of days. So that's your first sign that there's a problem here. And, then you start to look at Friday. Well, Friday was a culmination of three different things. One was we had the tariffs, right? So big thing, August 1st, that was the deadline. Trump came out, blah, 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 right? Was there a lot of surprises? Maybe a couple here and there. Is it going to be that big of a deal? Not really. Is it going to change the market? Not really. I think it's just about perception and Wall Street's excuse to kind of move the market. But we did have earnings. So Amazon went down, right? That was a kind of an ugly looking move. And then I think the surprise was more on the jobs. So we had and it wasn't so much that it was the top line jobs number. It was the revisions that really.
And Ryan looks like he's frozen right now. Let's give it a second, see if he comes back in.
That was in a tailspin. Apple came out okay. It was up a couple of bucks. But, the combo of all that stuff just gave the market an excuse to sell off, take some profits, as we saw the big bearish engulfing on Thursday. So Friday was ugly. People were panicking. People were like, oh, my God, what's going on? Why are we doing this? And, today they kind of bounced a little bit. The volume's a little bit lighter. I think this volume's a little bit light on this platform, but this one, it was a great day, right? This is a bullish reversal pattern where they finish strong on the day. And, maybe that's a little bit of Wall Street showing you what they want you to see. But you look back on patterns like that. Here's one here. We kind of just kept going after that. We had a couple like this one here. We kept going after that. Here's, here after this one, right? That was a pretty solid run after that. So, typically these are pretty indicative of at least an attempt at a recovery. Now, I think the interesting part, will it recover all the way? Will we be able to get back through this resistance now? Because, we filled or came close to filling the gap. That's going to be the sign, is if we can get up through and make a higher close, right? That's going to be what I want to see as a green candle, as confirmation that we're going to be able to continue to go further. Now, this week we got a ton of earnings, right? You look at the calendar, and there's more this week in terms of just pure stocks than there was last week. So that's very important to kind of keep on the radar. Now, are they all big names? Not really. Are there some in here? Yeah, there's some big names that you want to kind of keep an eye on. So you look at something like the spiders, similar type pattern. You look at something like the diamonds. We had a similar type of pattern, but that was a little uglier, right? They had already started making lower highs and lower lows. Didn't have that big bearish engulfing, but just continued that bearish pattern with an ugly looking candle on Friday. But a great recovery. Got all the way back up through the gap, filled the gap. Again, hopefully we can get something going. There's a lot of earnings in the diamonds in the next couple of days. Another one that I want you to watch is the IWM. This was a great reversal as well, right? They opened it at the high or close to the high and just started to run, filled the gap here. So again, that was similar to the diamonds, just started to roll over and looks like it could really start to get something together. Now, one I will watch and caution you on as well, to watch a little bit more for the breadth and how the breadth is reacting. RSP, which is the equal weight S&P 500. And you can see when you get all of the stocks rallying together in sync, that's more of the equal weight, and that's going to show you that you want to see this rallying, that all of these stocks are moving, not just the big weighted names, not just the Mag 7, 8, 9, whatever you use. So that's very important to me in terms of being able to watch for this week. So I think this week you want to have a kind of a bullish lean, optimistically bullish, let's put it that way. Could you get bearish on some names? Of course, right? I think there's going to be a lot of names. I mean, Amazon still has to show me something that, in terms of getting, off the bottoms and, maybe we can get a turn here and then I'd start to look, but I probably wouldn't touch that until probably back above maybe both of these opens. Have it show you something. Don't try to catch the falling knife, because we could just as easily make another lower low tomorrow and you're thinking, oh, well, we got to fill the gap, something like that, and then want to buy. Maybe if you do support down around this area, you find a green candle starts to show you something, then maybe you want to jump on. You can use that low as a potential stop. Now, if we come back over to Market Chameleon, and again, I'm going to keep it simple, like just looking at some of these names, working our way down this list. I walk through this list, and some of the things I look at throughout the day is what are the patterns? What's the technical patterns? One that stood out to me today was Walmart. And Walmart, we go back over and look at that chart real quick. Walmart was one that was poised, I feel like is just very, very interesting to go. So I started doing some digging, and I'm like, you look at that chart, took out this high, and it's really close to closing back above this level. The high came up to that close right in there. You can zoom out a little bit more, and you can kind of see we keep coming up to this level, right? Kind of keep butting our heads up against that one. So to me, this one is poised. Now, the only problem with this is you're going to have earnings in this one. I believe that's coming out. I think I had it up on another screen over here. Walmart's earnings are going to be, let me see if I can zoom out on that one. Walmart's earnings going to be the 18th. So we have a little bit of time, roughly 2 weeks to that happening. So this could be one you want to set up a trade and play in the very short term. Knowing they're on the 18th, maybe set up an entry bot and say if it breaks out above that high. So Walmart, we can zoom in. Let's take a quick peek at what that high is. So the high here kind of marries up with that close up there. So that high, let's see, 90, where is it? 90. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, cheat a little bit. So 90, let's call it, we're close to that. That's pretty close to 100. Let's just use the 100 marker, right? Big round number. And, let's bring that back in. So let's say if it breaks out above there, let's just use 100. If it closes above the 100, we want to kind of play that. I'd add an option, probably going to use the 100 call. We can use, now the question is, where do you want to trade? I want to run all the way up to earnings. I don't want to buy that earnings implied volatility. That's the next week. That would be the 22nd. So I'm going to play the 15s, give myself till next week and be able to play it. If I want to play earnings, like it looks really awesome and it's breaking out, stocks running, then maybe I'll roll out into the next week. But this way, I'm not going to decay away on or get involved with the earnings play. I could hold that earnings play into earnings or just before and get out. That's a whole different option, but I don't like to get people kind of caught up in those. So for this one, I just say create, let's buy it mid-market, right? So I can buy it at midpoint and just say create. So that's going to buy me an option if it goes above that. Again, the beauty of OptionsRobot gives you the ability to do these templates. And the question is then how far do I think this can run? I'm going to probably keep it simple. I'm going to do one and just do it. I will do it every $3. So if it moves up a couple of bucks here, every $3, I'll roll my option up and it's already built in. So my template's already built for you on that one. Again, you can see the preview on that where you, again, jumping into that 100 call, if it breaks, that's my entry bot. Then I say if it rolls up by $3, I'm going to roll up to the at the money option. If it rolls up by another $3, I'll roll it up. Again, this is slightly managed on my part because if I see the market start to roll over again, or if I see something like that, I just want to get out of my option and be done with it anyway. So that's just the preview on that one. Another one that stood out to me, I came back over into let's say, I think I did it on the option screener. I think the option screener for UOA. And this one I thought was, let's see. So we went down through this list here. Affirm had a really big day. I thought that was awesome looking. Another one that had, the Affirm had, pretty good volume, right? They almost doubled the volume there on that. So let's take a quick peek at that chart. It may be too big of a move for us to jump on. I think you got to be a little bit cautious of that as well. So if you look at that on the chart, AFRM, you can see it's a really good move. It's a nice looking chart. The rounding bottom. We kind of have, a complex cup and, cup and handle. You had a head and shoulders down here. So it does look very, very interesting. My only problem with this is I think there's a lot of fundamental reasons why you shouldn't trade it. That doesn't necessarily, the joke we have, when I talk with all my traders is, you don't want to let the fundamentals get in the way of a good story, right? In terms of a good trade. So oftentimes fundamentals really don't matter if you're trading in the short term for a week or two, right? No one really cares about what's going on. All they want to see is the momentum. So this could be one you want to look at. It had a pretty big day today, right? You moved up $8. So probably not one I'm going to touch. Maybe if I get a follow through tomorrow, maybe that's something I would start to look at. But another one that I found in that scan, let me just go over here to the chart again, and we'll find two of them that I'm going to give you guys real quick. eBay. And eBay I thought was interesting. They had earnings in here, it gapped up. And this is an all-time high. So not only did they gap it down on Friday, but they managed to really get it going. Volume starting to dry up. So this is one I'm going to look at probably the high. If we can get a follow through and they want to keep playing this and pushing it, we may get that bigger pop now that it closed at a higher close compared to Thursday and Friday. So if they're going to keep trying to run this stuff like Walmart, eBay, there's a couple of the individual names like American Eagle, Abercrombie Fitch, they were all doing pretty well. So again, if you're starting to see those names start to go, Amazon's down. Does that mean some of these other names should get some of the retail business? I'm not sure, but I thought the eBay was interesting, right? In terms of post earnings, implied volatility is cheap, and you start to look at something like that. So the high of the day on that one, let's just look at that real quick. High of the day, just to give me a trigger level, 93.45. So if I go back over to my trade log there, go to entry bot and look at eBay. We had Walmart. Let's look at eBay real quick. eBay, and we'll say if that goes greater than 93.45, I want to jump into an option, and I'm going to do that at the money sell. This one I'd probably be a little bit more conservative. I'd probably start with the this week's options. Right, I think it's a little bit kind of sketchy where it's at because of how far it's run. So I'd probably play this one close to the vest, maybe a little bit shorter term and a little bit for that pop. So if we do get above there, probably play something like the 93s. They're really cheap, right? You're talking about $1 right now on the offer. So buy them mid market, and you know what? I'm going to do them with a quick. So if it does start to happen, I want to get in quick. And I want to, again, basically then be able to start to trade it quickly. So for something like that, I'm going to be a little bit shorter. Let's see, I'm going to do this one here. If it rolls up by $2, so $4, stock doesn't move that much. So we can get a nice little pop. I'm going to take that as a quick hit and run with that one. So roll up for $2, and the next $2, I'd exit the trade. So those two I thought were very interesting. A cheap play that I saw was that American Eagle. And I'll just come back into here real quick. AEO was one that, again, decent volume, decent move, big move for American Eagle. And I think this has a lot to do with the commercials. I think this had a lot to do with Trump mentioning the commercial today. So obviously you get some extra kick of just eyeballs. More people tweet it out. Tweet this, tweet that. This could really get going, right? You put another date. Whoops, refresh that one. You get another day like today, and hopefully I didn't lose you guys in terms of internet. It looks still good. So I gotta get rid of that. So I think this one could be potential for you as well. So let's just put a quick trade on that as well. So do American Eagle, AEO. And I didn't use my shortcut, which I should have. AEO, and today's high, let's just zoom in on that real quick. Today's high was, and let's see, that's about 1340. I can't see those up there. My eyesight's too bad. So let's give it a little room. Let's say 1350. I don't think I want to wait all the way to that 200-day moving average, that blue line. So I think I'm going to do like 1350 on that. So if we say if it goes above 1350, that's a good number. Let's buy an option, do a single, Again, it has 1350s on it, which is perfect. And again, I'm going to do that on a quick. So it buys it. It uses the algorithms to say work the spread for me. We're not that wide in terms of the bid-ask spread, so it doesn't really matter. But if I can get 76 cents, I can start it down here. That's what we'll do. We'll start at 75 and work our way up to 80, where it's going to be a little bit more expensive because it's got to go up. So whatever, it's 5 cents wide. Maybe I
Hey everybody, looks like we lost Ryan. We'll give him a second to come back to the webinar, see if he pops in, and he's back. How you doing, Ryan? It looks like we lost.
I apologize.
For those who don't know, Ryan's taking the family for a little holiday, but he's still working his behind
a little
off.
work vacation, yeah.
So he's working. The internet's a little rough, but at least we have him on. So I'll you want to reshare your screen, Ryan?
Yeah, we can do that real quick, and and then we'll get back to kind of come in and finalize things up here. But I got to share that. Sorry about that. Share screen.
No worries.
Let's do that real quick. And window, this one, share. Okay, so where I left you guys off, let me just get out of this. So what I was talking about was that AEO. We just created a bot to get into that. And for something like this, you may want to create a bot. So you may not have a template set up for it, again, depending on what you think it can move. Or you want to look at potential levels where if I think it's going to go, let's say only up $1, I can create the option value or I can do it on the stock. But let's say I want to put in specific value. So if I would think it goes above 1450, I just want to roll my option up, right? One strike. So I can say I'm going to stay in the short term and I'm going to roll it up to the at the monies. You know what? I'll say specific strikes. So we go up to the 1450s. So I roll up to the at the monies and I can create that. So that creates one bot, right? This is all doing it by hand. If I want to create another one, but maybe it's just another $1 up. If I say no, it goes up another $1, I'll add another one over here and say if it goes up to 1550, I can get out of my stock, and all you have to do is click exit, and I can click my smart pricing, market, mid. I'll do midpoint, right? Just click midpoint and then create. So I've created my own little bot there in 30 seconds. Whereas if you had to do that by hand in other services, one, you can't do that in other services because they don't allow you to roll a position that you don't have. So they don't allow virtual positions like we do. And we're going to monitor and manage that for you in terms of the big picture. So again, a couple of these that I come back in and look at. The only problem I see in a lot of these, Joby had news today, so that's up. Ethereum's moving with Bitcoin. We got a little bit of volatility in there. On Semiconductor had a great day today. That was really good. PANW, there's some more. There's been news on that. That chart still looks a little bit crazy, so I'd be careful in that chart. In PANW. So I mean, I use the action where I'm finding that in Market Chameleon to try to show me where that volume is. Something like this PANW. Maybe you start to see a bottoming formation in here because some of the other names in here have done pretty well, like a Crowd, right? CRW doing okay. All right, had a green day today. We had Cloudflare, which is net. And that one looked a little bit better, basically retesting highs on that one. Even Zscaler, I think, had a little bit of a bottom formation start to form, right? Starting to see a little bit of green there. So PNW, I would wait for that green to come in, right? It showed really good volume coming in. So that's definitely something on the radar, but I need to see a turn, right? You're going to get a great price in here. We can get it to go there. So hopefully that helps you guys in terms of looking at some of the stuff that's moving in the market. And any questions there, Will?
Nothing's popped up, Ryan, but people are appreciative that you went out of your way to put on this week's show. This is the 4th. We're going to try to do it every Monday. For those who aren't aware, OptionsRobot is Ryan's project now, and you can reach that at OptionsRobot.com, and it is a great tool for any trader who wants to have really for lack of a better word, a robot, AI, handle your order and process it the way you want to process over a given time period. And there are very few places you can do that in the marketplace. So thanks for bringing that to the Chameleon community, Ryan. Thanks for showing us how you're looking at the market today, maybe some ideas for people. Great job, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one. All right.
All right. Have a great day, Ryan. Thanks, everyone, for joining this afternoon show. Remember, Dimitri and I host a morning show every trading day, and it's more a little webinar series, but we do have a lot of good local chameleons who come on and join the show and have an interesting chat as the show is going on. So join us every day, 9 a.m. Eastern time. That's typically can be viewed on the Market Chameleon YouTube channel, but we do stream on all the social platforms. So everyone, you have a great evening, a great start to the trading day tomorrow, and have a great day.